even motivated. They seem to be like over-believing in their super skills and like we're doing the right thing the right way.
It's a fine line between the two. And one of them is almost like, it's you're oblivious to things that, will eat you. And then the other one is that you're bold. You're bold enough to push the razor's edge. And the two are and they can be confused sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the trap of being an entrepreneur is that, we tend to be very passionate people and we have these ideas and we have to be a little bit crazy to go for it. But, the reward when you achieve it on the other side is, it's outstanding.
I don't have any more questions. I just have one more comment. Before the interview, we kind of had a brief talk, and you mentioned that we most likely will see you in Tampere during Stream Startup Festival this October, and I really hope to see you there because this is definitely a place to hunt for early-stage startups and to talk to interesting people and network.
Okay, yeah. Well, I hope to be there as well. I look forward to that.
Thank you very much for this interview, Rhett, and we're continuing with the Tribecast tour with the next guest. Tribecast. And I keep on grabbing mentors and speakers from the festival by sleeve and dragging them into the corner which was provided by the organizers of the festival to us. And we have one more speaker who is also the previous year's winner of Ship Festival. So hello, Neveli, and please tell our listeners a few things about yourself before we continue.
Yes, hello, I'm Neveli. I'm a mentor this year, last year's winner. I'm a startup founder, so I'm going through all of the problems that our startup goes through, and much of these are similar to the ones of the, early founders that are here in Ship. So I'm very happy to be here and to help these founders with the problems that I've already dealt with, basically.
All right. Before we continue to your today's mentoring, can you tell a few things more about your startup? What do you do? What's your product?
Yeah, sure. Our initial idea is to help. The problem that we're tackling is the communication between the festivals or concert organizers and the artists. So the way that the artists communicate their technical needs, their dressing room needs, everything like that, it can change quite a lot, and the communication isn't that good. So if the communication is quite poor, it can mean for the organizer additional costs or things that they don't know from the artist side. So it's better to, lose all of the assumptions and to communicate straight. But right now they don't have anywhere to do it. So we are empowering them and giving them a tool so that they would have a best overview of what each individual side is actually understanding.
Okay. And you started your answer with the phrase, the problem is. And this is actually reminding me of your mentoring masterclass of today, when you talked that first you have to define the problem, and secondly, if I got you right, hopefully I got you right. So first you have to decide the problem, and secondly you have to figure out if the customer actually has this problem. I enjoyed listening to your presentation. Thank you very much. Maybe the public was a little bit sleepy, I don't know, for whatever reason. Anyways, I just feel that the design crew of Tribe Tampere community would have loved you and your product. But let's probably explain to our listeners who obviously haven't been there more about your mentoring.
So my focus has, and I feel that a lot of incubators and accelerators don't emphasize it, is the customer development and why it is important. So a lot of people tell you should know your customer, but what does that mean in like business sense, and what does it mean for you as a startup, as a business you're doing? So a lot of people focus on the product, and the truth is that no matter how good of a product you're building, if it's not actually delivering or focusing or bringing value in a sense that it's solving someone's problem, then you're not going to scale up with it really fast. So what I'm trying to talk and bring to Ship and actually emphasize is that the first comes the understanding of the problem. You should, as a startup, not even think about the solution, or else you're going to translate everything you've learned from the customer into features. And then you're again doing product development. You're not actually focusing on the customer. But what I try to emphasize is that at first it's like the problem, then it's the business around it. And then the last part is actually the product. So in the later phases of the startup, the product development and customer development should be like equal. But when you're starting out, it should be like 95% the customer development side. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, because I see that a lot of startups do the same mistakes that we did. And it's actually pretty easy to avoid if you know these points.
Okay. And during your session, your mentoring session, you met quite many startups. You met every startup technically, which is competing during SHIP Festival. As a former participant, as a kind of alumni, do you see the difference between the batch, which was when you were participating, and the batch of this year?
It's very difficult to compare, because if you're a mentor, it's true, you get to meet everyone in a very short amount of time. So you have the clinics and you have like 10 minutes with like each startup and you hear the problems. But when you're here as a startup, you kind of look at it another way around. You're looking for collaborations. You're not that much sharing the problems. So I can't really compare, but what I really liked about being a mentor this year was that a lot of startups had already asked many crucial questions from themselves that I, as a business developer, asked from them. They really tried to engage their customers to receive honest answers to them, not just assuming at home behind their table some sort of answers. But yeah, I can't really compare, because yeah, if you're a startup here, you're looking for friends and, you know, people to collaborate with. If you're a mentor, you're hearing kind of the other side of the story.
Right. Neveli, generally, in your experience, why to go to events like this? Why is it worth for a startup to go to an event like this? And what should you search for on these kind of events?
The best thing is that, especially if you're just thinking about entrepreneurship, is to get a kick out of these events is that you can do it. If you see other people changing the world and, you know, not just thinking in their bedroom that what if, you know, let's make this, it would be cool if something, but they're actually, you know, taking actions towards it. This actually was also what I got from the SHIP Festival that ignited me to see that anyone can be an entrepreneur, anyone can change the world. This is one of the best things that you can get. And the second best thing is, of course, the people that you meet and the community that you create around yourself. This is something that will help you not to be in an isolation, but to talk to others, to learn from others, like not only mistakes, but also successes of how did they manage to do something, which are the road steps that will be maybe similar. It doesn't really depend on the idea that you have. And coming to these kinds of events, especially SHIP, is like this really, really warm community that embraces you and your idea and helps you. And yeah, it's like this spark that you get inside of yourself.
Right. Since we started speaking about the communities, I cannot but invite you and your startup to one of my favorite community echo players of Tribe Tampere community, which is Stream Startup Festival, happening 3rd of October this year. Please come. It's an event for early stage startups, and hopefully you'll find good connections and good vibes and good spirit and learn something new from there. I wish you good luck with your business, and thank you very much for this interview. Thank you. And we finalized Kotka episode with the people who actually invited us to Kotka. So now we have Antti, who is representing SHIP Startup Festival. And before we go to the festival talk, let's just talk about you. Right. Please tell our listeners a few things about yourself, Antti.
All right. So my full name is Antti Viitanen. I am the main organizer for SHIP Startup Festival. Also, they call me actually I got titled by the local newspaper as the startup captain of Kotka. So what I do is I basically
run the ship,
yeah. But yeah, I like to develop the startup culture here in Kymenlaakso region, and I work in Xamk University, and I'm specializing as a startup expert there.
Okay, that's amazing. So, Captain Antti, please tell us, or those of us who don't really know the story, what SHIP is about. What's the specific format of the festival?
All right, so it's more like an educational platform rather than like an investor event. Everything got started 2015 when different organizations came together and they started to think like, how could we make this area more entrepreneurially friendly. And we have just established our student-based entrepreneurship society, and we took part to these conversations. And one of our mentors, Shivia Karnam, came up with the idea, like, since Kotka is located by the sea, so how about we bring here a ship, like an entrepreneurship. So that was something like amazing. We were all like, yes, let's do it. So we started to look for like, okay, how about a cruise ship? How could we get it here? How difficult it would be? We found out that we basically just established our association. I paid all the registration money from my own pocket. We didn't have any money. And we found out that actually getting a cruise ship, you have to pay a deposit money of 600,000 euros beforehand to actually just get the boat reserved. So we were like, okay, maybe we don't get the actual cruise ship here. But we were all excited. So we decided, let's do it. And the ship basically landed here in Maritime Museum, Bellamo. And I think this venue is really nice. It's been our home location.
Yeah, I got lots of comments from other guests from the podcast that everybody likes the venue. And we, on behalf of Tribecast team, also like the venue a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think this was built 2008, so it's rather new building and really nice looking place. So we are really happy with this. But of course, we wanted to have some kind of ship, so we have the cruise ship for all the startups and mentors who take part to ship, and they get to see the Kotka archipelago. And so how ship is organized, we have basically 2 tracks going on. So we have the mentor track, where we have different kind of activities, educational. So young entrepreneurs get mentors and have conversations with them. How can they develop their company? And then the other part is the pitch competition, where all the 50 teams who come here, they get to pitch their idea. And basically 10 best goes to the final round, where they get to compete out of the 5,000 euros main prize. And actually this year we also have, including in the main prize, ticket to Web Summit into Lisbon. So it's worth about 2,000 euros. So I think it's a great prize for any starting company.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Speaking of mentors, I checked the schedule with the mentors and the list of them, and they seem pretty diverse for me. How do you choose them?
So some of them, they basically contact us and they want to be part of it.
But can it be a situation that a person contacts you willing to be a mentor and you say, sorry, no?
It depends. It might happen and it has happened, but usually it's when they want to come from abroad and they are asking us to pay for the whole trip. We're working this on a tight budget. So sometimes we don't have possibility to get people pay for their transportation from far away because of the money thing. We are doing this. There's a lot of pro bono, a lot of volunteers, interns involved with this. Basically, it's a side story, but to take the side story, so we have 20 students running the whole program here. They are actually doing ship. I'm just more at least I want to think I'm just helping, mentoring and advising them to kind of achieve. When we, press play and this ship start to going, I'm just on the background seeing that everything functions and helping when they have any issues, because I can help with those issues because I've seen them many times. But they are the ones who do this event. I'm helping there.
I fully understand the power of volunteering as a caretaker of Tribe Tampere community, which is also quite much run by the amazing forces of the volunteers.
Yeah.
So I know the feeling, and it's great that you have people. By the way, any requirements? Can any student from Kotka register to be a volunteer?
Yeah, basically, yeah. We have an open call for volunteers that if they want to join, they can come. Of course, we do also volunteer recruiting, a lot of that. This year we have 20 volunteers and 20 people in the organizing team, and they are really committed, all of them. So
about this year, since you have been watching SHIP for quite a while, what are the changes that you observe?
So I think that's one thing, that it's the whole system, how we operate it, how are the teams built inside the organizational teams building, team building. That's something which is new. We have 5 managers, who take care of their own areas, and then they have interns underneath them, all students, all of them. That's one thing, and that shows kind of, to me at least, how things work a little bit smoother when we have this kind of operations going. But definitely the coolest part, what we have been able to achieve this year, has been the live stream that we have from SHIP, so everybody can join and see what's going on. So yesterday we were doing some live interviews for 2 hours, and then today all the pitching is going live all the time, so it increases the visibility for the startups as well. I hope that they get something out of that as well.
Right. Can you also watch the stream after it's finished? Can I check on it tomorrow?
Yeah, you can go to our website, www.ship startupfestival.org/media, and it should be there at least at the lifetime, but you can also find it from YouTube later on, and we are going to, chop everything so you can even search later on for individual startups if you want.
Yeah, sounds cool. I like the idea. And also for Tribecast, we talked with a few mentors and tried to get the ship crowd on board of Tribecast this time. Hope you enjoyed listening to it afterwards. Speaking of the future, where do you see ship in let's say 5 years, classical?
Yeah, classical 5 years. Myself, I like to kind of slowly build everything. Like, we tried fast growth, and I don't think it really works in small events that are organized